Good morning. How are you, everyone? Good morning. Today, I want to have a quick little chat about mindset and interview success. So obviously, hiring is on the move. We're seeing a rise in the job hiring at the moment. And what I've noticed, certainly for me as a career coach, is that the interview coaching side of my business has been particularly busy in the last week. So lots of people are finally, thank God, finally landing interviews. But what I'm noticing with the people coming to me is that, people are landing interviews, but many of them, or quite a number of them, are not getting the job offers. And they're coming feeling discouraged, disheartened. And one of my clients who I worked with probably 2 weeks ago said that he hated interviews and he thinks that interviewers are out to get him. So that's one perception. Another client said, that she knew as soon as she walked out of the interview that she hadn't performed well. She felt that she could have communicated better. She was fortunate enough to get some feedback, right? She got feedback from the person that she interviewed with, and the feedback was that her verbal communication didn't match the value that had been presented on her resume. So basically what that means is that the resume read really well. It's the thing that got her the interview. But then when she was in the interview performing, she didn't actually perform as well as what that resume indicated she was as a candidate. So a couple of things to remember. Mindset. So the mindset tips I want to share today is, how to stay composed in interviews. The first thing to remember about an interview is that it's a two-way process, right? You're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. So remember that in interviews, the real outcome is to determine if the role is a mutual fit for both you, the candidate, and for the company, the employer. And I think when you go into an interview with that kind of mindset, understanding that it's a mutual two-way process, there can be a little bit of relaxation. Because the second point I want you to remember is that interviewers are not out to get you. It's not a test, it's not an examination that means you pass or fail. What it means is that interviewers really want to see how you've progressed in your career. They also want to see what you've learned from the mistakes that you make. So sometimes people try to avoid those difficult questions like, what was your biggest failure? Or what would you consider one of your weaknesses or your biggest weakness? And people get really testy around that and really nervous around those questions because they perceive it as negative questions, as questions that mean someone's out to get them. But they're really not about that. They're actually about an interviewer wanting to see how self-aware you are. Do you have the self-awareness to know that you don't know everything all of the time, that you, like everyone else, makes mistakes? And how do mistakes occur for you? Do you learn from them? Or do you get defensive? Do you blame others? Those are the kinds of things that interviewers are really trying to see, is that self-awareness. It's not about trying to get you. Remember, interviews are conversations, not examinations, right? The other thing I want you to remember is that interviews don't determine your value as a person. So we're all valuable as people. We have skills, talents, experience, all of which we can contribute. What they're trying to determine is who the best candidate is for that particular role. And sometimes it could be you and your experience. Sometimes you can articulate it really well in an interview, and the interviewer or the hiring person or the employer is going to go, this person's the perfect fit for the role. They've got these great skills, they've got a great personality, they present with quiet confidence and so on. And so you're going to be the person that gets the job offer. But if you don't get the job offer, don't develop the mindset that you're not valuable as a person or that you don't have any value. It's not about your value. It's about the best value on the table at the time. And sometimes that could come from another candidate. Another candidate could communicate better than you did, right? They may have no problems with communication style. They may be really confident. They might know their resume inside and out, or they may have studied the role, the job role inside and out, and had a better way of matching their skills to the actual job selection criteria. Like, there's many factors that play a part. So don't develop the mindset that if you didn't get the job offer, that means something about your value as a person, because it doesn't. Think of interviews as a growth and learning experience, right? That's how I want you to think of interviews, as a growth and learning experience, no matter the outcome. Because here's the thing, you've got to practice selling and presenting yourself. You can have the best career documents, best LinkedIn profile, all of those things. And those are often the things that will get you the interview, because you've presented really well on paper, right? But when you turn up to an interview, if you walk in there with a negative mindset, or a fearful mindset, or an anxious mindset, it is going to affect your energy, and you're not going to perform as well as you want to. People sense energy a lot quicker than they even pay attention to the words that you say. So sometimes you can use the right words, you can even use the right keywords, but your energy is flat. Your energy doesn't speak of confidence, or your energy is defensive because you walked into that interview thinking someone's out to get you. The moment you step into the arena with a defensive energy, or an energy that's lacking in confidence, and you think that people are out to get you, you are going to present very differently to someone who walks in an interview going, I'm here to bring my best forward. This is a learning experience. This is a growth experience. Whether I get the job or not, interviews are great. They practices for presenting and selling myself, because interviews are the place where you walk into alone. You don't get the assistance of a career coach or a resume writer. You can get that assistance to help present your documents, right? You can even get interview coaching sessions, which is a great thing to do, really important. If you find you're not performing well in interviews, get some help. Take at least 3 to 4 or 5 interview coaching sessions, but you still have to walk into that interview on your own, and you still have to sell you, and you have to do it on your own. So the only way that you succeed is to manage and be in control of your own mindset, and understand interviews are conversations, they're not examinations. No one's out to get you. It's a two-way process. You count as much as the interviewer counts, and you should be looking at it from that point of view. And remember, interviews are a great growth and learning experience. So try and approach it from that space. Elevate your mindset, be in control. Mindset is the most important thing that you manage through the whole job application process, from the time you see a job to the time you apply for it, the time you have the discussion with the recruiter about putting you forward for a role, to the time you're sitting in an interview, actually interviewing for the position, and to the time you're negotiating for the terms of employment or the salary, all of that. Mindset is the most important thing you manage. If you don't have that handled, you don't have that managed, you're going to have a real challenge succeeding in the job market. So if you have any questions or any comments, or you want to share your point of view on interviews, feel free to comment below the video. I look forward to reading and hearing how you've gone, what you feel has been your biggest setback when you're interviewing, or what has been the best strategy that you use when you're interviewing. Feel free to share. I look forward to reading it. And as always, have a great day. Bye for now.